set 2, there is not a lot that could happen in Star's favor that would allow them to make top 16. Right. And Star already off a little bit, gonna have to alter where that well is pretty early. And honestly, DL not getting the greatest well for the 8-1 stack. Still able to work with it, but not convenient by any means. Oop. Actually, a little bit of an odd stack there for DL. Gonna have to rely on a little bit of combo to make the most of it. And Star just trying to get that board as tall as possible, almost having an impossibilitress set up over on the side. But we will see the Curptress there, 71. But DL again has been so incredibly efficient. There's 1956, and Star is still receiving garbage at the end of things all said. So although again, curbs tend to be, highlights for a lot of players in this matchup, it might potentially be Star's lifeline going into phase 2 and into phase 3. Which I guess, as I said, phase 3, here we go. So Star right now has the zone meter advantage, but again, Diao's pressure is unrelenting. And Star going to decide to wait a little bit, hold off a little bit on incoming garbage before launching their zone meter. I don't know how much they're really going to get out of this zone. 39 Dodecatrice. Diao needs to counter about 20, but has a clear board to work with. That is going to be really, really difficult. Oh my goodness, and still getting the Tetris all the way to the top of the board. 59 in a phase 3 zone from Diao. Star having that full board worth of garbage. Setting up a T-spin triple, trying to get as much damage out of the zone as they possibly can. But at the end of the day, these skim options are running dry, and the chances of winning this round are eliminated to 0. Diao taking round 1 again with it near consistent, like 130 to 140 drops per minute, and around 120 attack per minute. Again, even in terms of speed, that is going to be extremely difficult for Star to catch up to, and going to have to rely on a lot of impressive zone play, more likely, in order to keep up. Star and honestly, but yeah, both Star and Diao right now having lovely center wells to work with. All right, and a little bit of a little Tetrio T-spin single there for Diao in order to make that well pretty clean. Accepting a lot of garbage there from Star, and it does get pushed into phase 2 pretty early. Or a nice down stack there from Diao, the Diao stack. Gonna have to work around too much cheese. But a couple of misdrops, and Diao's gonna be the first one to zone. Star does have a bit of cheesy garbage on the board, but by far is zoning from the better board state. Only 18 lines out of that zone from Diao. This is a huge opportunity for Star to sway things in their favor. All right, able to get the 2062 ulti, and Diao does not see the 20 plus spike from that zone and dies immediately, has been ejected from the playing field. And Star taking a game off of Seed 5 Diao evens it up 1-1 with another incredibly strong zone. All right, and Star actually able to get off MS2 into PC. We haven't really seen Star go for a lot of opener plays, but it's enough to force Diao in the back foot. And Diao's response was actually so quick that it almost forced Star to compromise their own build. However, Star able to work their way over to that 6-3, or excuse me, 7-2 well. accepting a little bit of garbage. It will turn into phase two, but this is still a beautiful board for Star to work with. All right, and Star debating about using that eyepiece over on the left side to try and get more lines out of the zone, but decided the efficiency was probably the better call. And DL right now has a bit of pseudo ST stacking to begin with. Has still, I believe, been perfectly clean with this board up to line 16. A single skim on line 18 is the first bit of non-efficient play. 65 ulti from DIAO. And Star just does not have a lot of options. Unfortunately, accidentally sets up a DT cannon, but the O pieces are going to turn that off just as quickly. And DIAO, another 130 over 120 round, is going to take game 3. But Star still has not remained empty-handed. And if they're able to pull a couple more strong zones out from them, and DIAO gets caught off guard, things could be very, very good. Oh my goodness. Star almost getting caught off guard a little bit, but DIAO is the one that has a bit of a rough time, is not able to rotate properly to get that T-spin triple off. I think rotated a little bit too quickly and was not patient enough for the soft drop of TEC. And so things are still even between Star and DIAO, 2-2 between both of these players. And it looks like DIAO now just going to go back straight to the fundamentals that they know best, the LST. Again, does sacrifice a little bit in building up that zone meter, but it is kind of the best way for DIAO to push out as much pressure as quickly and as reliably as possible. And Star getting kind of cut off from a really strong zone. DIAO is going to continue with the LST. We do have a little bit of a skim in the process. But with this amount of T-spins in a single zone, I don't really know what more DIAO could ask for. There's the ulti finish, 70 lines from the Ultimatress. This is going to be a really difficult zone for Star. Probably needing at least 50 plus lines, only getting to 32. And you can see, yep, accepts a full board. There's still basically another entire zone waiting for them. And despite how strong that zone initially looked from DIAO, it just seems to be more of the status quo from their overall performances. But again, 70 ulti is really hard to play against, because when you get to the point where there are multiple boards of garbage just getting lined up, you can't really keep track of it, and you just have to play like there's an endless amount of garbage. But that also has its own drawbacks as well. But DIAO able to, again, just it's taking a lot to essentially take all of these rounds off of Star, as Star has been able to get in a lot of quick rounds if DIAO's not been terribly careful. And a couple of early misdrops there that DIAO's still going to have to deal with. But all Star as well, the couple of S pieces with the way they're placed, I don't know if they're in the greatest position. Star is able to at least work out to 17 lines worth. About 2-ish boards of garbage, but given everything that's been sent back, Star's not really sending a lot at the moment. They're just upstacking, and given that nothing more is really going to get added to DIAO's garbage queue, 61 ulti, most of that going straight back to Star, having to accept about 30 to 35. And that count is still growing up. Able to get to the 39-line Perfectress, but with that extra damage from DIAO, it's essentially a perfect mitigation, except DIAO right now leads in the board state and the zone charge as we hit into phase 3. A little bit of a rough column 10 there from DIAO, able to clean it up. And overall, again, both players doing an extremely strong job keeping up the efficiency as much as they possibly can. Oh, but there's the misdrop there from Star. That's going to be a really tough problem to dig through, especially considering how ruthless DIAO has been keeping up the offense. Oh, but 37 Decahexatress, that is going to force the full zone from DIAO. Pressure is now on DIAO to keep this as efficient as they possibly can. It's been perfectly clean. No back-to-back breaks until line 16. You see 54 Perfectress, a terrible S-piece misdrop there from Star. Would have had a 3-wide well to skim through, but now there's almost nothing to work with. And although there is a down stack waiting for Star, it is not going to get nearly as low on the board as it needs to. And I believe this is going to be a top out. DIAO manages to pull another game. Offense was a little bit lower that time around, but still managing to overwhelm Star, and they're on match points. Star looking to take a couple of more rounds, or potentially throw in the threat of an upset. It appears that, again, LST has worked wonders for DIAO. Not really any reason to go off of it. Star has kind of just been utilizing the free garbage of the center well to keep up with the offense that DIAO's been sending. Oh, but some misdrops from DIAO. Oh, okay. And actually, I really do like the decision. So DIAO is ending that zone a little bit prematurely, but given that it's still just barely into phase 2, DIAO's going to have a lot of time to build up a second zone. 44-line Decahexatress, but because of how low that board was to begin with, DIAO is completely unfazed and now has a full zone meter to work with, while Star is going to be scrambling to build up theirs. All right, and again, the intentional top out to just end that zone as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter what that ulti bonus is in DIAO's perspective, as long as that damage gets sent off as quickly and as, well, Star not able to find more than 19 on the Perfectress. It's still a very formidable clear, but it's not going to do anything to that giant garbage queue. DIAO once again, the 130 over 120 takes it over Star, but not without a few